Here in Lansing, Michigan, and our first guest this evening is Oscar Castaneda. And Oscar, welcome to the show. It's good to see you, and I'll tell you how I learned about Oscar's situation. I received an email from change.org, and that is an online petition, and I get those fairly frequently in my inbox. And Oscar's friend Daniel Foster had set this up and was telling people about Oscar's story, that you have been in this country for 17 years, and you now, more?
21.
21. Wow. And you have been working in this area for 17 years. 17 came from somewhere, no?
17 in Michigan State University.
17 years at Michigan State University, working in GIS systems,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And now, because of technicalities in your visa, you are in danger. You can't work.
That's correct.
Now, tell me how you came here to this country and what was your status when you came here. Why did you come to the United States? When did that happen? 21 years ago. Did you come as a student then?
I came as a graduate student.
Okay.
I came with a J1 visa.
J1.
Yes,
Okay.
J1. The J1 is for exchange students. Exchange in the sense that somebody's paying for your education. Somebody who is not your parents and not your own pocket. So it could be your home country government, it could be an institution. In my case, it was Fulbright.
You came on a Fulbright
Yes,
scholarship.
Yes.
And your home country is?
Guatemala.
Guatemala. Where in Guatemala?
Guatemala City.
Guatemala City.
Guatemala City.
And you grew up there and you got your undergraduate degree?
Actually, no, I kind of traveled a little bit. I went to college in Mexico City.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I went to Instituto Politécnico Nacional in Mexico City. Then I went back to Guatemala and worked for a few years. Then I went to Japan for 1 year.
Wow.
I came back. Actually, I was trying to stay in Japan, but it kind of didn't work out. So I went back to Guatemala, and I really wanted to go to graduate school. And so in hindsight, I made this mistake of taking advantage of the Fulbright scholarship, the 2-year rule, and I knew that somewhat I had to go and pay for my 2 years. I finished the scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
I went back, and by the time when I went back, I was already invited to come back to SUNY at Buffalo. And my advisor already said, as soon as I secure the funds, we're gonna work it out, and you're gonna come back. So about 5-6 months, I was back in the U.S. I went to the consulate. I applied for a visa, and they gave me another J1 visa that had a stamp that said the 2 years rule does not apply.
Meaning you could stay longer than the 2 years, or indefinitely, or?
No, but because the idea of the 2 years is 2 years home country residency.
Right.
So it says the 2 years rule does not apply.
Okay.
So we're talking 1993. There's no internet, no websites, no chat rooms, no information flows so easily now. And
Right.
I don't know if you read the piece in MLive.
Yes.
And I saw some people making some nasty comments in there and saying, you broke the law, you knew that you had to go back and you didn't go back. Well, I didn't know. And I had a stamp. I had a stamp in my passport, and I still have a copy. I can show this copy to whoever wants, that say J1 visa, the 2 years rule does not apply.
Yes.
And I remember hanging out with graduate students and friends and people, and everybody has a story. And I didn't know nothing about immigration. And people would say, no, you're fine, you're gonna be fine. No one, that's not a problem for you.
I remember that era too. It was much looser.
People didn't care.
Right, they didn't care.
Exactly. So I was about to finish graduate school. I got a job offer, and I went to California, and I was so happy and so proud. It was the .com days, and I was doing computer programming and that kind of thing, and I felt like I was so decided, like never in my life. I went to, even being in California, I even had offers to change jobs over there.
Mm-hmm.
And everything seemed to be really fine. Then I came to Michigan State University, and I worked for so many years until I found that I had a problem.
How did you find out you had a problem?
Well, the typical path for people who comes to, especially in the technology areas, you come to a place like Michigan State University, or you come to a software company, I don't know, Oracle, Google, or even a smaller company, you come and they give you an H1 visa.
Right.
So the H1 has a limit in time. You cannot have an H1 more than 7 years.
That's what I remember.
So I did my 7 years. By year 7, those guys in MSU who deal with internationals, they said you need to get a green card. So they gave me a list of lawyers, and I started to check with the lawyers, and then nobody wanted to take my case.
Because they felt that there was no way they could get you a path.
They
to
would
the
say,
green card.
no, it's not. The way they work is it's too complicated. I don't want to deal with this. Find somebody else.
Not an easy one. It's a hard one.
Correct. And some other guys would say, yeah, it's gonna cost you $20,000, which
Whoa.
I wasn't even close to. So I was like, okay, I have a problem. I have
Yeah.
a serious problem here. At that time, my daughters were in middle school and high school, was somewhere in this area, but they were young teenagers, and I really thought that it would be a bad thing to move them somewhere else
Yes.
at that point in their lives.
They were Americans by now. Yeah.
They were, and even in the whole spectrum of being American, this is a difficult age.
Yes.
This is a very difficult age when you wanna bring some sense of stability to your children and make them feel like they are in a place that's stable and is right for them.
My dad moved me from a small, tiny rural town where I would have been in a graduating class of 62 students when I was 15. We moved to upstate New York when he took a different job, and a class of 580 students. And it was such a shock, you know. I mean, it was, when you're 15 years old, your world is very narrow. It's family and friends, and to be uprooted would be really difficult.
And you're talking about inside of the United States.
Yes.
Here we're talking about a different
Yes.
country, a different culture, a different value system, a different economical setting.
Yeah.
Many. So finally, I found a lawyer to Washington D.C. because of work-related things. So somebody recommended this woman, and I went, and she said, "What you can do is you can get an O visa."
Oh,
Oh.
I've never even heard of an O.
Oh, it's so. She said joking at that time, and it is true. She said, "You're gonna be in the same category as Russell Crowe, because
Russell
yeah,
Crowe
yes.
working in the movies?
Yes, he had one for probably has something different now, but all visas are for people with exceptional skills.
Exceptional skills.
Unique skills,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
So I got one. I applied one. And she made it. She did the paperwork for me, and I succeeded applying for one.
And that was your GIS skills that were considered unique.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I secured some letters from NASA.
Oh.
Most of the work that I was doing at that time was related with NASA grants, and we were doing some really interesting things that had to do with GIS over the internet was just a theory at the time, and we were working in this, and we were making some really good strides. So I had some nice letters, and I secured
I did some work with NASA. They're great people to work with, interesting projects.
Yes,
We
yes,
did a
yeah.
live webcast from the North Pole when friends of mine cross-country skied
Nice.
there.
Yeah, we were doing something now it doesn't sound that exciting,
Right.
but at that time it was extremely exciting. There was a collection of satellite images in Japan, another collection in California, and another collection in South Dakota. And we in Michigan State University had a website that put together the satellite images from the three places.
Oh,
And you could see all of them in a single map.
so you could stitch them all together.
Not only stitch them, but also bring them from different locations.
Oh,
that was a
wow.
big deal at the time. Now everybody's doing it. It's after 15 years.
What department were you with?
At that time, I was in geography.
Geography. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, they do a lot with GIS.
Yes.
yeah.
So
What
You're-
year was that approximately then?
I'm gonna say 2005 or 2006.
Okay.
2006, 2007. I have all this information in the test.
You had your O visa at the time.
Yes.
How long does an O visa last?
The first one is good for 3 years,
Okay,
and after that you can renew in a yearly basis.
okay.
So I think that I did 5 or 6 years with all visas, and I at that point I knew that there was this one thing that I had to fix, and there was this one thing that wasn't right, and I started to come to grips with the reality that I had a serious immigration problem. And I was thinking, what am I gonna do? And the next year I renew my O, they denied my application.
Ooh.
All of a sudden, no explanation. They just say you don't fit the bill and you don't get your next O. So I went in panic mode. That was in 2010.
Okay, 4 years ago.
When I was in that crisis, I found this lawyer who is my current lawyer, and he's a very practical man, I call him. And you always have to find. I went to very expensive lawyers in Detroit, who I have to say that they rip money off of me because they do nothing and they were extremely expensive. I found this guy who's you need to find your balance in between being good and what you can afford and find your perfect point that fits your own situation. So he said, in a very practical way, he said, "Did you ever apply for a green card?" I said, "No." "So how do you know that you're not gonna get it?"
Oh, that's a good idea.
and he said, "You have the no, right? If you get the yes, you got it. If no, you already have the no." So in order to apply, and I'm just gonna give you these details because I find them really amazing.
I do too.
In order to apply for the green card, he said, "You need to get me every single visa paper that you had since 1993 until today." I was missing one. I was missing one piece of paper from the first time that I came into the United States. And he said, "Call Fulbright and ask them for a copy. They probably have a copy." I called Fulbright, and they don't have a record of Oscar Castaneda.
No.
They don't. And the guy said, 20 years, you came in 1993, that's too old. We don't do this.
They just don't hang on to things long enough.
They don't have a record of me.
Wow. So that leaves a gap.
No.
Didn't make any difference?
No, the point is, they don't remember me. They don't have a
They don't
record
even
for me.
remember you.
But they won't give me I'm gonna move into what is the whole thing, where is it hung up in this. So I applied for the green card. It's there, to apply for a green card, you have to have you have your choice of many options of why you're applying. You got married, you're a millionaire,
Right.
You're married an American, you are a millionaire, and you are coming to invest money. Your parents are American citizens. There's a list of things. There is something called employment-based immigration.
Employment-based immigration.
And this is a category that brings people who do things like me.
Right.
So there is EB1 and EB2. EB1, you have a sponsor, and your university or your company is paying all the bills and all the expenses, and it's a good thing because your institution is supporting you. It's a bad thing because you are kind of tied to the institution for the rest of your days.
Right.
I applied for an EB2. The difference in between EB1 and EB2 is that you pay with your own money.
Okay.
That's it. And I was approved.
You got a green card?
No. I was approved, and the way the system works is they send you a letter and you say your employment-based application has been approved.
Okay.
So because you have been approved, you have to go and do medical testing and a series of things, and they send you a working permit.
All
For
right.
the time being. And
So you can work while you're applying for
exactly. So when all your stuff is done, they send you your final green card.
Okay.
So I got my working permit, and months I did my medicals, I did all those things, and a few weeks later, instead of a green card, I got a letter saying, "You have been approved, but you have to send us copy. You have to send us proof that you spent 2 years in Guatemala, or that you have a waiver for the 2 years rule."
Okay.
So I said, okay.
How'd you get a waiver?
So I went, okay, they found out. I'm going to apply for a waiver.
Mm-hmm.
There is I don't remember the exact name, but this is the Waiver Review Committee or Waiver Review Board or something like
So there's
this.
a group of people that review the documents?
It's a mix of people in between immigration and the Secretary of State.
Department of State.
Department of State, I'm sorry. You tell me why the Department of State, but they are part
the
of
State Department, probably
So-
is involved.
So they review your application, and there is a list of reasons that you could have for applying for a waiver. I applied for the one that says that there's one of them is that your home country doesn't want you.
Okay.
I have a letter from the Guatemalan government that says that they are okay with me staying here,
Okay.
which is a reasonable thing to say because where I was working in MSU, we were getting grants that we moved into some other areas, and we didn't talk about this before, but we move into the areas of carbon markets and how to monitor carbon markets in small countries.
Oh,
And I was ready to bring a lot of money for Guatemala,
oh, good.
to Guatemala.
Wow. They'd be happy to have you stay here and do that.
Exactly.
Yes.
They had the rationale that I was more useful for them being here than being there.
Yeah.
The letter, I applied for the waiver, and my application was denied. So
When did that happen?
2011,
2011.
late 2011.
Was that a period of time when a lot of applications were being denied, do you know? Is there a context?
I don't know. To be
Okay.
honest, I don't know.
I'm just curious.
There are bunches of websites where you can look, and some people has been trying to put together some aggregations of how long is it taking, how many are being denied, but I don't think that none of them are accurate enough.
Okay.
Okay.
So the letter says
So you're still working at Michigan State all this time?
yes.
And you haven't had any break in service or anything? You've been able to make things happen?
Exactly. I have some breaks in the process because I keep telling left and right the immigration system is broken.
Yes.
And every time that I apply for a visa, it would come late. A renewal of the visa would come late. The working permits came late.
Yeah.
I went through gaps of 60 days, 90 days without being able to work. I went through gaps without being able to travel because of those things. But
Yeah.
those are things that I was, okay, I can live with this.
Right.
So they said that your waiver application has been denied.
You appealed.
And I could appeal it, and I appealed.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent my appeal in January 2012.
Okay.
In February 2013, I got a letter saying, we received your appeal, and we decided to reopen your case.
Oh, good.
And that was it, until today.
Until today. So it's
Until today.
reopened, but you're not getting any final
Correct.
determination. Are you allowed to have work permit status?
No, that's the thing.
That's the problem.
During the first year, they renew my working permit. And then I was like, okay, if you want to take forever.
Right. Just keep renewing my
And
work permit.
It's not ideal, but
Right.
you know, I guess when you have cancer, you get used to live with cancer, or when you live with I don't
Immigration
know,
problems.
when you have some condition, you just learn to live with your things. So then you live in a place, you live in a town that you like, everything works. You have a very interesting job. You go to work very happy, you have
Yeah.
friends, you forget that you live in this situation. So this time around, they didn't renew my working permit.
So you're stuck here in limbo.
Exactly. That's
But the case
exactly
is still
the problem.
open, and they're
Yes.
reviewing it.
Yes.
Do you have any time frames, or? they don't-
6 months from February 2013.
Oh, well,
They missed their.
they've missed their deadline.
I think so. So my lawyer said at the time, I don't know, I don't think that they will listen to your appeal.
Oh.
Most likely it's gonna be a no. And I was like, okay, but if they take forever, I don't care.
As long as you could work.
Exactly, as long as I can work.
Because
So
that's
now-
one of the things that when President Obama the other night, if you defer somebody from deportation, the law reads that you have to allow them to work. Because the idea was you can't strand people. This occurred under the Reagan administration. That was the whole idea. President Reagan was able, as the head prosecutor for the country, he was able to defer these prosecutions of people who were to be deported. And there was a court case that determined if you do this, you have to give them a work permit. So it seems to me, it's unfortunate that you're not able to get one. You're not in the same status. So the president's announcements the other night have no bearing on your case at all? That won't help you?
Well, we don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
Because he covered 3 main areas.
Yes.
One was making DACA broader. DACA is
Yes.
the Deferred Action for Children.
Yes.
The second is giving deferred action to the parents of American citizens.
Right.
I don't have any kids who are American citizens.
Right.
And the other is, he says something close to make easy for people in technology to get green cards.
See, that should help you.
But the details,
The devil is in the
he
details.
provided no details whatsoever. So we need to see what's coming in there.
This is LCC Radio, WLNZ 89.7 here in Lansing, Michigan. We're talking with Oscar Castaneda about the difficulties that people face dealing with the American immigration system. And in particular, he's exactly the kind of candidate that the country always wants to say that, let's keep these people because you've gotten your graduate degrees here, we've helped to educate you, your own country says let him stay. You're in a situation where you're making this valuable contribution. Michigan State University loves having you. You've worked for them for 17 years. Your family is settled here, and then you're caught in this terrible limbo where the paperwork is just not keeping up with the reality, and nobody can cut the red tape for you, it seems.
And you weren't trying to hide.
No.
That's
I pay taxes all the time. I used to have a house until I lost it because I couldn't afford it anymore because of all these immigration problems.
I mean, that's what it is. And you're stuck in this situation where if you had to go back to Guatemala, it's not that you would be unemployable there, but you'd have to reinvent yourself completely. You'd have to spend money to take your whole family back there. You'd have to start over, and it doesn't make any sense for that country or for this country.
And the worst thing is my kids, and
Yes,
I keep emphasizing my kids' part. This is not their choice.
Yes.
I am making them do this, and that's what is really hurtful. And I want to say another thing. I don't know if it's getting off subject. Many friends and many people, especially people who signed the petition, will say, "Did you ever hear about when Governor Snyder announced his office for New Americans?"
No.
He announced something called the Office for New
I
Americans.
remember, but I haven't heard anything since.
And you can Google it. They have a beautiful website, well done. And he said, "We really want to make sure that." He says, we educate people here in Michigan. We have these excellent universities, and once they are prepared and educated, they leave. We need to make sure that they stay. So that was even before I lost my working permit. So I was like, okay, this is it. This is me. I called them.
Yeah.
I called them, and the person who picked up the phone said, when I explained my case, he said, well, this is immigration. We don't deal with immigration issues because this is a federal matter.
Oh.
I'm like.
Then what are you doing?
What's your office for then? Because it's all going to involve immigration.
Thank you
Right.
very much. That's it. That's exactly the thing. And I said, can I come and pledge my case to somebody, to whoever is running the office, so I can tell them that I need help in this? And no, it's not gonna work.
Now you've probably or likely appealed to our representatives in Congress, and has there
He's
been
not been very successful
I was
there.
wondering if you've had any.
They haven't been really helpful.
The thing is, they will say that they will make an inquiry, and I'm really obsessed about the meaning of the words, especially being somebody who speaks English as a second language.
Yeah.
So they will inquire what's going with my case. And what I'm trying to tell them is, I don't need you to inquire. It might be that inquiring you might be just accelerating my leave of the country.
Yes.
Can you put a word for me?
Yes.
Can you say, we really would like to keep this guy in Michigan?
I would love to see a team of people who have power. I mean, I think of the provost and the president of MSU because of the contribution there. I know Senator Levin is leaving office, but we do have our new senator coming in. It would seem his
Right.
office. This would be a.
But see, the way it works is if you come as a regular person, or if you get very lucky, you're gonna get to the chief of staff. In my case, everything I got was the person who deals with immigration issues. They all have a person in their staff who know, and actually they are pretty good and they really understand the immigration system, and that's all you get. So when you say, well, I need help, they will say, we will inquire for you. And when you say, is there a way that the senator puts a word for me,
Yeah.
they will say, it's illegal. And I'm like,
they're not supposed to lobby the federal agencies on your behalf?
I don't exactly know what that means.
I don't know that.
But it's not.
You need somebody to go to bat for you.
Exactly. And in the other hand, I think that the senator from Michigan is supposed to go out and push the Michigan issues and help people
Yes,
from Michigan
yes.
from whatever they need.
So we need Debbie Stabenow on the case, and we need Gary Peters on the case.
The change.org thing sends every time that anybody signs, sends an email to Debbie Stabenow and one email to Mike Rogers.
Oh, well, Mike Rogers is now gone, so we were talking about Mike Bishop now.
Mike Bishop, right.
Taking over for the 8th
Well,
district.
but he's still there, and he's going to be there until January, right?
Well, yes, yeah.
So,
But you have to be, as you said to me the other day when we were talking, you have to be careful that somebody doesn't just call ICE and say, you know, he doesn't belong here, and that you could get swept up at any moment.
but you know something, it might be a good thing.
Oh.
Because
At least you get in front of a judge.
no, for one, and for the other, because they keep talking about this, and they keep saying this, and it sounds. I think that it sounds really bad in the ears of people who doesn't understand what's going on in immigration. They would say, people who we are just focusing resources in bad people.
Yes, right. We want the criminals. Yes.
And your typical guy who gets caught by ICE is your guy who crossed the river swimming, and he never got a driver's license.
Right.
And he decided to go check the Upper Peninsula, and in his way back from the Upper Peninsula, he ends up in a checkpoint, and he doesn't have a driver's license. He's gonna get caught.
Yeah.
I have a driver's license. I have like 16 credit cards. I have Social Security. So, for one, and for the other, technically, as long as I have a case pending in immigration, I can be here.
Yes.
So
As long as your case is pending, you
so
can be
so
here.
I'm not an illegal.
But it sure does
So
seem to me, yeah.
and it goes. If I understand correctly what my lawyer said, if they get you and you go to court and you put in front of the judge and you say, I need my day in court, the immigration court has such a huge backlog
Right.
that if they take me tomorrow, my day in court might be in early 2017.
Wow.
And then they will give me a working permit.
Right. If you do and they deny you, then you can get your working permit.
Exactly.
Oh, it's mind-boggling. I see Bill's head is about to explode over
Catch
here.
22.
Isn't it terrible?
Now I know why the immigration lawyers make so much money.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this is complex.
And
It's
you know,
nothing,
there was-
nothing is easy.
There was just a story I read the other day that said that once President Obama made those announcements, there would be a whole bunch of bottom feeders who would come out of the woodwork and try to exploit people and say, for $10,000, I'll get you in on this. So that is unfortunate. There's a lot of people who don't have information.
To me, when I listen to all the discussion, all the talk of the broken system, this is what is broken.
Yes.
Those are the things when you say the system is broken. And this is what they have to fix, and nobody gets to it.
Bureaucratic procedures that are really clumsy.
One other thing I'd like to have you talk a little bit about is your community involvement, because you are wearing the jacket for the Capital Area Soccer League. You're very involved with your church. I mean, your family is rooted in this community. It's not that you're really a part of this community, and people here really would go to bat for you if they knew how, but there's just, the petition is really so far the only way that. What are the kinds of community groups you are involved in?
Well, there are two main things. One is I've been in this church for 17 years, and I am a believer, and I like to say openly that I'm a believer, and I was a believer for many years. And this church has a big focus on college students, and I've been helping. I think that I'm a good bridge in between international students and Americans.
Yeah.
I think I understand both sides of the equation. So I've been helping with ministering with international students. So it has been a big focus of my life in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is there's this entity called Capital Area Soccer League.
Capital Area Soccer League.
Castle, everybody calls it Castle. When I started to be involved with them when my kids were little and they were playing soccer, and soccer has evolved so much in the last 17, 20 years.
Yeah.
So when I came, most of the coaches never played soccer before.
Oh.
And I was never a star back over there, but I played my whole life.
Yeah.
So I felt that I could help, and I started to get involved. And forward all these 17 years, and I'm the president of Capital Area Soccer.
Oh, that's great.
And I've been the president for I lost track. I've been president for 6-7 years.
Wow.
And I'm very proud to say that when I took over Castle had about 65, 70 teams. And this last season we had 184.
Whoa. 184?
184. So
Wow.
I organize every spring and every fall about 700 soccer games. And it's a very cheap option. I feel like I'm putting my plug in here, but
Yes.
I think that's a terrific organization. And we organize a tournament once a year that brings. The last year it brought 125 teams from out of town.
Wow.
Which if you do the numbers, it comes to thousands of people coming to the capital area, spending a weekend here, paying for hotels, paying for food, buying things, and paying for gas here in
Oscar,
the area.
you've done more for us than we've done for you. I mean, and we have to figure out how to get this to the right people, and I'm hoping that the publicity and the petition and the radio show and everything, that somebody out there knows the solution to this, because I would tell you, I just tried to get an answer out of Social Security, and I finally found a form that I could fill out online, and they answered a totally different question. And I've been waiting for a month now for my answer because I don't want to get into trouble with the regulations, and they answered a question I didn't ask them. And that's the challenge, is finding the right desk, the right person. I thank you so much for coming in and telling us your story, and I hope that you'll come back, and I hope we don't have to find you somewhere to bring you back in, but I'm hoping that we do find out how to thread this needle and be able to give you some answers. Make sure, if you're interested, that you can find in change.org, you can find the petition that Dan Foster did for Oscar. Please go and sign that petition. I'm not supposed to do a call for action, but I think I can urge people to sign a petition. We really would hope that we can keep you in the community, and thank you so much for coming in and telling your story. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Have a good night.